This is the biggest mistake I see when it comes to eating for performance. In this video, I'm gonna show you what I eat in a full day of training in a lead up to a HYROX event, specifically New York City HYROX. I'll include everything from my supplementation to meal timing and tips. So make sure you stick around until the end of the video because this one is all value add. So up until recently, the first thing I have in the morning is a scoop of G1M, obviously my coffee first, and then a Go bar or a banana depending on the workout. But about a week ago, something new came in the mail and something I'm really excited to share more about, but I can't until June 2nd, is this. This is the future of endurance brought to you by BPM. Nick and the team have created something that's phenomenal, and I'm really excited for you guys to get your hands on it. So be on the lookout from June 2nd. But yeah, this is incredible. So I've been having a scoop of this instead. Go bar or a banana, again, depending on what I'm doing. Oh, I say depending. I can pretty much get through anywhere between a 10 to 16K or like a 7 to 10 mile run on a banana, which got, sufficient sources of carbohydrates and potassium. But if it's anything like that, or if it's like a workout where it's got some tempo in it, we're going with this bad boy. I don't know if you noticed, but I love telling you the why, provide you value, whether it's what I'm eating or how I'm training or how I'm programming. So why I have G1M is it contains certain carbohydrates and also electrolytes that benefit us, particularly carbohydrates that are fast gastric emptying, which is what we want for readily available energy. So that's why I'm having that, and I have the Go bar or the banana for an additional source of fuel or something in my stomach, just to make yourself feel like I've got something there. The new product, there is a why for that, but if I told you that, I'd be giving away what's in the product. But just say there is an intention behind everything that I do. So today's workout is a 4K easy with 8 1-minute efforts at a 4:02 pace. So pretty cruisy, kind of like strides. I do have HYROX this weekend, and typically I would probably do this workout in a non-plated shoe. But because I've got the competition this weekend and I want my ankle and everything else that I have going on in my system really in tune with what I'm gonna be wearing, I'm gonna be wearing my race day shoes. I really recommend getting your body used to those kind of things leading into a race. I know I avoid plated shoes on the most amount of my days in typical fashion, but when it comes to getting close to the actual race day, whatever you're doing, marathon, be it HYROX, whatever, you should be getting your body in tune with it. Okay, so this morning we have a 4-minute K warm-up, so just over 2 miles, into a 8 by 1 minute efforts at a 4:02 kilometer pace. So it's about a 6:39 mile. How am I doing, by the way, my comparison? I always say metric is the way we should be going, but a lot of you comment and say, can you do imperial as well? So I'm like, I got you. So that is also gonna have then a 4-minute cool down, really cruisy day. It's really not strenuous at all. But when you're this close to HYROX, you don't wanna be doing anything too strenuous. So I'm gonna stride the legs out, take myself down to the Lower East Side, nice little run underneath the bridges. So we're gonna get after that today and then smash some more food. Alright team, that is our session for this morning. The first time in as long as I can remember, my heart rate monitor just ran out of battery. So put it in my back pocket, but it's just why it's important to know what your paces are in accordance with feel, because sometimes you can't just be going off your heart rate. When you finish a workout, maybe you do your morning workout like I've just done, I've had my run, you may jump in your car, you may take some time to get home and have breakfast. Now, a lot of this can actually be 30 to 40 minutes without us realizing, and we want to make sure we get some sort of nutritional value in to benefit that session, particularly proteins and carbohydrates. So you choose things that are minimal in fat that don't slow down your digestion. So I'm going to make my first shake of the day today, and it's got minimal fat in it, and so it's going to allow the proteins and carbs to get to my muscles more quickly. So if you're driving home, get some sort of shake into you, so before the time you actually get home to make your breakfast, your oatmeal, eggs, whatever it be, you have something in your system that's already in the job, so you can have the fat and you don't have to worry about it. We have mango fresh. If it's fresh and cheap, it's in season, and I just think the flavor is so much better. So in this smoothie, I have a banana, frozen blueberries along with a mango. We have the 2 scoops of vegan BPN protein. I've talked about why it's important to have diversity in your protein intake, along with 5 grams of creatine. I take 10 grams of creatine every day. If you want to learn more about that, I talked about it in the newsletter. 5 grams in the morning, 5 grams, as you'll see, in my shake in the afternoon. Cheers. Let's talk about dietary fiber and why most people are not getting enough. I talked recently in a newsletter around the importance of doing 34 grams of dietary fiber and why. So if you want to look at that, you can go subscribe to my free newsletter every single week called Legendary. I also then talked about the importance of understanding the gut-brain axis and how it's connected directly by the vagus nerve, and why what we eat affects how we think, how we systemize everything, and control communication. But more recently, which is even more motivating for a lot of you gym goers, is the relationship between the gut and the muscles. So if you want to benefit to making sure that your workouts you put in are actually being efficient, you want to look after your gut. And to do that, you need prebiotics, probiotics, and digestive enzymes, all the things that I've been having every single day for 8 years because of AG1. So if you want to benefit and look after your gut like I have every single day, use the link in the description, because not only will I send you one of these pouches that will look after you every single month, but I'll also send you a free year's supply of vitamin D3 plus K2, along with 5 free travel packs every single day for 8 years. It's looking after me. Just can't beat consistency every single day having this bad boy. Now the difference for this particular one, for this power bowl, is I actually added a bit more honey and I increased my oats by an extra 1/4 cup. So it's a little bit more full than usual, and the purpose for that is just to really get a little bit more storage of energy. I don't need a lot more, as we said, with carb loading, it's not really needed, but I've had a lot of work on leading up to the actual event, so I'm compensating for that by adding a lot more energy.
You're welcome.
Sinful latte, spelled C-I-N.
Yeah. I don't like staying at home all day. I like to get out, even in between training sessions, and go get a coffee, as you'll definitely see throughout this channel. The Elk, fun fact, great spot in the West Village. So when I come to these places, opt for no Wi-Fi, so I can write. So whether it be newsletter content or just more what I call playing offense with some of the brands and partnerships that I have. So, advisory work with, say, Hone, AG1 on content creation and where the direction we're going with that just helps me clear my head. So, yeah, I'm gonna smash that out here and then head back and eat again. So I have for my second meal a breakfast sandwich. New York City has some of the best breakfast sandwiches I've ever experienced. I'm not to say they're the best, but they're incredible. And inspired by this, I started to create my own. And instead of doing it every single day, I make enough for the week, which means all I have to do in this situation is reheat them. today I'm, 4 days out from the HYROX event and I'm starting to increase my carbohydrate content. Now, based on what I have in this one, I need a little bit more of my average daily meals. So I've also got some just cooked up pasta. So I'm gonna add an extra, probably like just 20 grams of carbs through this. This one pan dinner could be the most recreated dish in Eat Like a Legend. Last time I did a what I eat in a day video, there were a lot of comments around how I have so much time in a day to make all this food. Now, I would say being a professional chef, you learn how to be efficient with your time. That is not an understatement. But what I would also say is, if you didn't notice, that fridge is packed with meal prep. So that is essentially me labeling all these different meals that I make. And more often than not, like you just saw, there are a lot of reheats. Even my breakfast sandwich was a reheat. So I'm not making these meals every single time. I make them once, make a big batch, and then I'm creating, much more time-saving opportunities throughout the day. Just make sure you do stick around until the end of this video if you are looking to learn what to eat in accordance with your race time. Obviously, each race time start for a HYROX is different, which means your race strategy for nutrition should also be different. With an event like HYROX, where you're running between 60 to 90 minutes, maybe a bit more, you don't truly need to carbo load like that of a marathon. You're definitely using more muscles functionally, at least the effective resistance compared to, say, a run effort solely, but it doesn't mean you have to rely on the carbo load to get you there. Instead, I'm focusing on quality, making sure I'm not adding anything my body's not gonna like. Also, on top of that, it's not used to, because ultimately going into these races, you want your body ready to prepare and digest things it's typically used to. And the final thing is, I do add an additional amount of calories a day before, probably like about 50 to 75 grams of carbs. But if you prefer to do so, you can also add in an additional day even before that. Main thing is quality, keep what you're used to, and if you want to, and I do suggest at least a day before doing this, 50 to 75 grams of additional carbohydrates. You guys love your early 2000s sitcoms. You ready for this? If you haven't been to New York or you didn't know this. Look familiar? So we're heading to our PM session workout or our afternoon session workout. And what's important here is I'm essentially doing exercises or the workouts from HYROX that are specific to the actual race. And I haven't really done a lot of that considering my ankle and where it's at, so today's a big test. All right, team, welcome to Training Lab. We're here around 39th Street and between 5th and 6th Avenue, actually. That's actually where we are, in New York. Gotta love New York. So we're here, we're gonna do our simulation for this afternoon. Had my espresso. Not only is it good for, obviously, just digestive, I know my Italian roots, but it also helps me focus. So like my neurological effort, and I love doing that before I work out. That's why I don't take pre-workout, because I already get the caffeine from an espresso that I know I'm gonna be having. So today's workout itself is gonna be warm up into a practice, which is gonna be a small simulation to test my ankle, both on sled push and sled pull in particular, along with burpee broad jumps. And following that, I'll do a simulation. So it's gonna be anywhere between 50 to 90 minutes of a workout. Based on that, it is the reason why, especially after doing a workout this morning, that I need to eat the amount I'm having today. So coming out of Chicago, late last year, we did a 108, 68 minutes. And as we progress towards the sub 60, I was hoping New York would be like a 105. If I beat 108, I'll be very happy. So, today's workout, we've got a 500-meter run. Obviously it's half what you'd be doing, but I ran this morning, not a really big test. 50-meter sled push into another run, 500 meters to break it up, get the compromised sled work happening, into a sled pull, 50 meters. We're gonna do 1,000 meters on the road, 100-meter farmer's carry into 100-meter walking lunge with a 30-kilo center sandbag, finish with 100 wall balls. My hope here is honestly like, one, I don't feel any issue or instability on the push or the pull. And then two, coming through lunges and wall balls, I don't see any issues or like blow ups. So I'm not gonna be pushing this 100%. I'm gonna be more like neurologically thinking about my ankle. So for all of you who have injuries, most important to think about is if it's gonna affect its ability to recover, you shouldn't do it. I'm at the stage now where I have to be pushing to see how I can perform during my race day. But if you're not at this stage, don't test it. Choose your weapon. All right, legends. So we did that in just under 26 minutes, which I'm not really comparing it to anything. There's some good takeaways and some things to be not concerned of, but conscious of. Run felt understandably fine. The sled push and pull, there was a little bit of pain. So I favored my left leg as opposed to my right a lot in that, which isn't ideal, but I can get through the movement functionally. I just can't perform at my best. Wall balls, really frustrated on, because I got to 54 in a really good rhythm, and I had one like off the mark. I don't know if you felt this before doing wall balls. I did 54 unbroken. I probably could have gone to 75 or 80, and even then maybe 100, but I had one little miss. That's frustrating. Pushed it on the road probably more. I did 331 on the 1,000, so I won't be doing that on race day. And walking lunges were really, really good considering, because like obviously you're putting weight down on your ankle. So I think the biggest takeaway for me is my focus point was an injury, was I'm conscious of the fact that it's still not 100%, which means it's going to hinder my performance, but I don't think as long as I'm smart, it's going to make the injury any worse. Will I hit a 65? We'll see. I doubt it. But there's always going to be another one for me to hit, eventually that sub 60 goal. So all in all, as we were talking about, my focus was injury prevention and obviously functionality. For you guys, it could be your zone heart rate or how well you can do wall balls. So that's why you do these workouts, to test out what you can do with all the center equipment. Time to eat. All right, team, just got back from our PM gym session testing out the ankle on my HYROX-specific workouts. Conscious, not concerned. Said that earlier, and I feel definitely good about this. So at least I can actually do the movements. We'll see how we go in terms of my time. Now, before I get into a whole food meal, I make a shake, obviously making sure I get the carbohydrates and protein in. We're opting for whey protein this afternoon. On top of that, I've talked about this before in my newsletter. I'll link the description down below for the newsletter on creatine and why we take 10 grams. The recent research is quite compelling. Now, I don't know if you saw, we did 2 scoops of protein, which would have equated to around 50 grams. Interestingly, there's been a lot of discussion around how much your body can actually absorb or utilize. And typically people say around 30 grams, but the more recent research suggests that 30 grams is actually utilized at capacity for muscle protein synthesis. But the additional, say, overlay of 20 we have here will be used for other means in the body. So whilst the cap may be there for muscle protein synthesis specifically, there is an additional amount that is overflow that will still be used by the body in some capacity. So if you're someone who's using, wanting to have X amount of protein per day based on your muscle protein synthesis, yeah, you should
space out your protein intake, but obviously your body needs more than just to support the needs of your muscle from protein, because everything else is made up of protein. So no, don't neglect the rest of it.
Cheers.
So I've probably vlogged my spaghetti bolognese a number of times on this channel. And yes, a lot of you are coming to here to watch this video around the importance of certain numbers and metrics that you have to hit to improve your performance, and that is absolutely accurate. But I've been cooking this dish every single week for as long as I can remember. In fact, it is the dish that helped me understand criticism, feedback, and improvement. So every time I create it, it is always a step back in time of my nostalgic past, my family, because they're the ones who always wanted to help me improve. And I think it's a really important lesson that we should always highlight the process and enjoy the process, not just the outcome. And yes, that applies to athletic endeavors, but it also applies to everything else. So as I sit here talking to you, I'm marveling at just things that happened over time and enjoying the process of making this spaghetti bolognese.
That is it for an exciting video. Here we are, the day before race day. So next week's video, you are going to see all the prep in action, given the fact that obviously we're not 100% with the ankle, but we're going to have a lot of fun. Now, as I promised, I'm going to share with you how you should feel, at least on race day, if your race is the morning. The night before, what you want to do is essentially get a really big focus on the good acting carbohydrates there. It does not mean that you should still not neglect the morning. Half banana, a gel, or some sort of quick acting carbohydrate source is very preferred. Now, you can carry a formula. The last main meal you should have is 2 hours before your race. So that does not mean that within 30 minutes you should still not do something before your race. But if you are 7:30 people and you want to have a meal at 5:30 in the morning, go ahead. But if you want to sleep, obviously that's how it goes. But if you're middle of the day, same thing happens apply. If you have a breakfast and then right at lunch, the same thing you can do would be to have that 30 minutes before, quick acting gel, quick acting carbohydrate, maybe half banana. And if you're like me, and it's 6:30 p.m. in the afternoon, I'm still gonna have my breakfast, my lunch, and of course, same formula, G1M or quick acting carbohydrate and a banana. So that being said, team, this atmosphere is electric. I love HYROX, I love this event, I love what we're doing at Center. And thank you for all the support. Everyone who's seen me today so far, the first day has been exceptional, which means this is growing. Really appreciate everything you guys do. And we'll see you in the next video.